Today we have a very special guest, a man with many hats, a guru of the ecosystem, godfather of the ecosystem.
Oh, pas tellement, pas tellement. Not that much, please.
Maroun Chammas, CEO of Berytech, of IDM, vice chairman of MEDCO. How do you handle that many hats?
Okay. Well, it's not that hard because when you're an entrepreneur, you have the ability usually to let's say, jungle between few balls. But I think also I've developed after my studies. I did my engineering in the US, and then I did my MBA in Boston University. And actually, when I graduated, it was one of the first MBA on entrepreneurship.
Oh, okay.
Back in 1986. So you have now my age about. And
I'm bad at math.
And I think what I was able to develop was the ability to be multidisciplinary person. So I mean, something that you have to know is I started at a very young age to work. I was 12 when I started to work, and that was with my father. So I learned a lot, and he really groomed me throughout the years. And then I always had this love for technology. Since I was a kid, I was actually sending Casio watches. I don't know if the brand, it still exists, I think.
It made a comeback.
Yes, it did. It did make a comeback. So Casio watches, Casio calculators, and I had the captive audience being the students at school. So that was, my peers at school. So I was able to learn a lot in terms of what a small business is, how to buy and sell, the basics of the game. And then, after I finished my graduate school, I came back and I started, I integrated the family business. But then I thought that I want to do something on my own, and came the opportunity of the internet. And then, after that came Berytech. So basically, that's in a nutshell.
You are at the intersection of how you've done both the family business and the pure entrepreneurship aspect. Which one do you prefer of these two?
To tell you honestly, any kind of business businesses are very identical. What changes is a bit, if you want, the envelope, the format. And let me explain why. All businesses, they have to face the same set of challenges: the customer, the supply, the HR, the management. So they are very similar. What changes is really, it's like you plug a different color. In terms of technology, you have the technology component. In terms of oil and gas, you have the oil and gas component, the traditional business. In terms of the startup, it's also the same. So in fact, all businesses are the same. It's just a different flavor. Okay, so basically that's it. And once you get to understand how the functionality, the ins and the outs, you can actually you can always use a set of experiences and a set of problem solving, whether it's in this business or that business. So it's basically, in my opinion,
the skills are the same. It's about the mindset.
It's about the mindset, absolutely.
Maroun, I just want to open a little bit the topic of IDM, of the internet.
Sure.
Because obviously also this impacts a lot entrepreneurs, their life. Where do we stand today in terms of fiber optics? How is IDM deploying into this? And what is going to change in the lives of all the Lebanese and entrepreneurs, especially in terms of ability to access?
Okay, first of all, we need to understand that we're very late in terms of Lebanon as a country, in terms of deployment and new technologies. And this is really a very big pain for businesses, for entrepreneurs, and for companies that provide the service. We took a delay this delay was mainly caused by administrative and political decisions. That's unfortunately what it is.
That's the case.
When I think that we were one of the first country in the region to introduce internet back in 1995. So, you look at it and then you say, what did we miss? Why did we take this delay? Why things really got bad? But let's not look at the past, let's look at the future. If things go well, Lebanon will be well equipped in terms of infrastructure between now and the next 3 years. It's going to take 3 years to deploy in all of Lebanon, either fiber to the home or fiber to the cabinet. The difference is that in dense areas, such as Beirut or certain areas of Lebanon, let's say Jounieh or Tripoli or other area, or Saida, the big cities, there will be most probably, there will be fiber to the home, meaning that the fiber will run from the CO, the Central Exchange Office, all the way to the subscriber. Where it's less dense, there will be fiber to the curve. Fiber to the curve is that you are bringing the CO, the Central Exchange, closer to the customer. The difference is in technology. The fiber to the home, you can get up to 300 meg, and if not more, in terms of speeds. The fiber to the cabinet, you get, let's say, 40, 50, between 40 and 50 meg in terms of speeds. So
That's
basically,
still better than the 2 meg we have today.
obviously. It's a matter of cost, it's a matter of infrastructure as well, and it's a matter of time to deploy. Now, the places where, the remote places where you cannot get either fiber to the home or fiber to the cabinet, there will be the 4G and the 5G technology. So there will be the wireless technology, or what we call the fixed wireless. So basically, hopefully, Lebanon will be well equipped between now and the next 3 years. Now, why I say hopefully? Because we still have a lot of hurdles. Those hurdles are either administrative or political. So although there has been a decision to go ahead, there still has to be the will of implementing, because...
But what's the challenge? It's about, and the political hurdle is about who controls. I mean, what's blocking it? What's the reason?
The thing that is blocking mostly is the fact that Lebanon, unfortunately, did not come out of the old thinking of the administration. And it's not, I'm not pinpointing the finger to the administration itself. It's the system. The system by itself is very old, and all the laws and all the, if you want, the thinking is still dated to the 60s and 70s. So in the 60s and 70s, the way the administration used to work, and we have this a bit from the French system, we still apply rules that are dated by since the 20s and the 30s, yani when we were under French mandate. So can you imagine working in technology today and working with tools and systems that are dated from the 30s, the 40s, and the 60s? So there is a mismatch somewhere. And because we did not evaluate, we did not improve, or we did not migrate from an old system and an old thinking to what is required today, you have all these hurdles that you have to overcome somehow. So basically, it's a matter of tomorrow morning, if Parliament enacts laws and if things change, you can see that things will go much smoother and much faster. What we are missing today is the modern way of thinking in terms of the administration and the law.
You interviewed in the past electoral parliament elections. I know you did interview some parliament candidates.
Yes,
on
yes, we did.
On their vision of entrepreneurship, and I guess also technology more broadly. How many people did you interview?
I think we had 5 or 6.
Okay,
Five,
the young.
We had from different political parties and from different regions of Lebanon. What we wanted first of all for them to come to Berytech and have a feel to the ecosystem. That was the first thing. The second thing was we wanted them to feel closer to the action and have direct contacts with the entrepreneurs, and we wanted to have their views on, how they see this ecosystem and how they see the future in terms of technology and
Was
in terms
Maroun
of...
Chammas, after interviewing these people, was Maroun
Yes.
Chammas impressed? Was Maroun Chammas saying, okay, I see a good future?
Well, to be frank with you, we had some very interesting talks, okay? What I think the common sense, the general sense, was that there is a lot of work to be done. Some of the, and actually some of the people that came and spoke with us, they realized that they were a bit disconnected from the reality of things, you see. Never mind, what the important part is that when you put people around the table and you start talking to them and they have a direct contact with the entrepreneurs, they can get first-hand feel of, what there is out there. And it's, I think, very important, and it served the purpose. So I can say that we did serve the purpose.
And you feel you haven't answered my question. Do you feel these are young parliament members that do, across the political spectrum, that do understand the challenges out there?
You want a straight answer?
Yes.
I think they're disconnected, but they are willing to hear, they're willing to understand what's going on, and they want to do something. They feel, I think that especially now, because many of them who came to us got elected as parliament. I think they have this feeling that they need to deliver. Okay, and I'm sure that we will have many of them come back to us and sit with us and talk and see, what can be done. Most of them did not come back because they're all waiting to see in what commissions they are going to be elected and so on.
Okay. Let's take the other hat, the MEDCO hat, but MEDCO a la Berytech hat.
Okay. I'm going to take off this jacket. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Which is, my question is there a future for oil and the tech industry in Lebanon?
Okay.
Can we mix both?
There is definitely. Today, you cannot have sectors that are vital as oil and industry and so on and so forth without the tech component. Let's say that tech is for the good use of, I'd like to see it that way at least, for the good use of businesses, of everyday's life. Okay, if tech is only seen as a let's say as a tool for fun or for entertainment, it's wrong. I view it at least that tech is used as a good thing. Now, in terms of oil and gas, there is no doubt in anybody's mind, and this is proven by the research and all the work, the groundwork that was done in Lebanon or offshore and on the coast, that there is Lebanon, let's say, is in the same natural basin than Cyprus and our neighbors from the south, and they have discovered very large reserves of gas. So Lebanon being in the same geographical zone, that's one, and two, in the same geological setup, okay, because we're not different than either the Cyprus or our neighbor in the south, being in the same zone. So we're supposed to have also very vast amount of reserves. Now, I don't know if you know the process, but in order to at least pinpoint where the highest chances of hitting a reserve is, a lot of technology is used. And the way it is used is by sending, it's like X-rays, sending some type of waves down to the earth and waiting for the response. And depending on the type of the response and depending on the frequency of the response, you can pretty much determine what kind of, how the ground is composed of, the underground.
No, what I meant is there a possibility Is there, besides that, if we find gas or not, and how we exploit that gas at
Okay.
what price? Because the cost of
Yeah.
getting that gas, I think, is the major issue also. Is there a possibility to create in Lebanon a hub of technologies around oil and gas, or we're too far away from this?
No, we're not too far. Okay, I understand your point now. You're asking me if once we discover oil and gas in Lebanon.
Can I see in Berytech tomorrow oil tech vertical?
Yes, definitely. There could be, because at the end of the day is, discoveries or tools, technology tools are used when there is a need, okay, for something specific. Now, I'm sure that we have very bright and smart engineers in Lebanon. And once they start working in the field, they will probably either create new processes or new tools to serve the industry. And when we say the industry, we say the industry at large. It's not specifically just for Lebanon, obviously not. Because, it's so much specialized. This sector is so much specialized. You have, for instance, tooling, okay, in the exploration that only 3, 4, 5 companies can produce. You have experts that, let's say, use some type of detonation that they can only, so it's very specific.
Specialized.
And I think with time, I'm sure that the Lebanese engineers and the people who are working in this field will be creating new technologies, definitely.
Building on what you just said, why are we failing in Lebanon? And I'm being provocative in my question.
Yeah.
In creating these engineers that create these, answer these challenges, be it in the oil, but more generally in any engineering, in any innovative question. Why did we fail as a country? Are we failing? 1, 2, why?
Okay. That's a very good question, and I think when I finish this interview, I'll have a lot of enemies.
That's the goal of
it. You see, we have in Lebanon a very good education system. That's nobody argues about that again. However, I think that we fail sometimes to advance in certain areas, such as artificial intelligence, such as robotics, such as solar, such as, you name it. I mean, many new engineering and technologies. We're still very traditional, civil, industrial maybe, electrical, mechanical. But all of these, which are essential and extremely important, what about all the new technologies? What about all the new research and development? What about all the new areas that need the areas of the future? Okay, it's good to produce civil engineers, and it's very good to produce mechanical engineers in Lebanon. But what about all the rest? We cannot just live by saying we have an excellent education system, full point. We have to start applying and start creating new departments into those universities and new areas of expertise. Now, what lacks, I think, is the fact that those areas are very advanced, and the cost to implement such departments might be, expensive. And to bring in specialized people, people that have experience and knowledge, like professors and researchers and so on in artificial intelligence and so on, robotics and so on, requires a lot of money. And I think it's unfortunate, but the number of research papers and the number of doctors that we have or PhDs that we have in the universities, I don't think that we can, challenge international universities. We can have maybe a very high education level, but still we need to have, the specialized people to serve those specialized areas. And this is really the lack, I think.
You're a doer. You're somebody who has a reputation of achieving and just going and doing things for the good or the bad. How would you solve that problem? Because you stated the problem. How would Maroun Chammas, if he was in the power, if he was the government, where do we start by solving this problem? Because I'm asking because, I mean, before even getting into artificial intelligence and robotics and solar, we don't even have enough coders in Lebanon.
Yes.
I mean, the most basic stuff, the element of technology, of innovation, we still don't have it. Where do we start in that? We're turning, we don't know where to start.
It's very true. I think, okay, let's divide this into two phases. You have the public sector and you have the private sector. The private sector, I think the focus mostly is having more universities, and you hear so many new universities coming up, and you don't have the focus that, okay, we need to set a certain number of conditions in order to create new universities. And this is, I think, the role of the state, okay? The role of the state is to come and say, okay, I'm willing to give licenses for universities, and I'm willing to recognize universities, but this is what I need, A, B, C, D, E, okay? This is in terms of, if you want, who is eligible to have a university. If we want to copy-paste and have more of the same, I don't think it's the right thing. So, first of all, you have to start to put the bar higher, okay, and to say, okay, now this is what I need from you as universities. And universities have to come up with creative ideas to fund departments and to fund projects that are for the future. Because if they don't do that, and you can see from the student rooster, if you don't develop and you don't become aggressive towards that, you're going to see more people leaving Lebanon and getting their studies outside of Lebanon. Okay, so the universities have to really put more effort into the R&D and into the progressive, let's say, areas. This is where we lack.
Berytech is, and you're going to tell us a bit more about this, is linked somehow to
St. Joseph University. Yes.
To St. Joseph University. How are they listening to this message? Because I'm sure you're preaching that message regularly.
Yes. They are.
I mean, USG and AUB and everybody.
Okay.
I'm not just pointing. It's everybody in the ecosystem.
I'm sure, and I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm not very much involved with all the universities and their, the system, the curriculum, and what they're really offering. But this is a general sense. I'm sure that universities individually, many of them are doing some very serious work. I'm saying in general, this is what needs to be done. Don't forget that probably, if I'm not mistaken, the largest majority of students are from the Lebanese university. And when you, let's say over 100, if 70 are graduates from the Lebanese university, and the Lebanese university doesn't have all this, then you have 70% of the students that are not up to it. So I'll tell you a couple of initiatives that we did, Berytech and the St. Joseph University. We did something, for instance, a program for the School of Pharmacy, okay, which, traditionally, if you look around, and traditionally, you see that there are so many pharmacies in Lebanon, and it's becoming like mushroom, right? Why? Because also the state is not putting some criteria. Whoever wants, as long as he has a license in pharmacy, can open a pharmacy.
A certain distance.
At a certain distance, yeah, but what does that mean? I mean, it just means that it's not, the criteria are not economical. They're just physical. If you have a space of, I don't know how many 100 meters between, it's the same for the gas station, between one university, one pharmacy and the other, you can open. But it's not what is being asked. So what we did a program, which it's the third year now, very successful program, to help pharmacists get out of the traditional, just giving pharmacy and prescription and stuff like that, to technology. So we are educating the graduate students, fourth and fifth year, to go out and scratch their head and use technology and their knowledge in pharmacy to create new products and services. And we have done quite well, I can say, in the last 3 years. We have had many smart ideas. For instance, one of the idea was a team of students that came up with an app to immediately monitor the number of the time it takes to travel from the accident, the site of the accident, to the hospital, and if there are available beds or in the
lifesaver.
Yes, exactly, in the hospital, بس emergency center, ER or ER. So. No, sometimes they get to the ER and they cannot accommodate. So what do you do with the patient who is bleeding or something? So they came up with this app, which is very smart, because you could be just next to a hospital and he doesn't have he cannot receive the patient, or he doesn't have the specialty.
Time is of essence.
Time is of essence. So this is one thing. Another one was a pill box for people that have a certain age. So it memorizes, what pill to take at what time, so the box doesn't open and so on. So many smart ideas. So this opened a whole section for pharmacists. Instead of just doing another pharmacy, doing something else with technology. And I'm sure that there'll be plenty of things that can be done.
We are finishing part 1 of this interview.
Okay.
We're going to continue in part 2 to discuss a bit more about Berytech and the entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Maroun.